Good afternoon, everyone. Again, it's another Tuesday evening as we prepare to wrap up the series on talking about many of the Farm Service Agency programs that we have. Tonight, we're going to wrap up with the Tree Assistance Program. And then we're going to talk about the Marketing Assistance Loan or commodity loans, as well as LDP. So we're going to hit some highlights tonight with these particular programs. It's been an enjoyment to be able to share with the audience about these programs. But I'm going to go on and say, being an outreach coordinator, it's my responsibility to promote our programs and talk about the programs that we have. But it's interesting as we look at these programs, we have other staff, local staff, as well as specialists and chiefs to administer these programs, because it's a number of programs and no one can be an expert on all of the programs. And so even as I look at and prepare, there's a lot of information. But tonight, I'm hoping to hit the highlights on these programs. Tonight, I'm gonna start out with the Tree Assistance Program. I do not have a PowerPoint for this particular program. It's a very simple program that we have. It's one of the programs. And as Joy just mentioned, some of the other programs, I wanna go and say disaster programs that we have, again, like ECP and ELAP that we've already talked about. I think we talked about LIP, but we have a number of disaster programs, and the TAP program, the Tree Assistance Program we have, is also another disaster program. But I want to go ahead and share this particular program is for orchard trees and nursery trees. So when the natural disaster hits, again, when the natural disaster hit your county or hit your farm, and you had some damage to your orchard trees, to your, that's real popular here in Georgia with your pecan trees or your peach trees, your blueberry trees, and other vineyard trees that's available with TAP. And I'm gonna go ahead and just read this, I'm gonna read off some things to help clarify as we look at the TAP program. So the Tree Assistance Program provide financial assistance to eligible orchardists, nursery tree growers to replant or rehabilitate eligible trees, bushes, and vine losses by natural disaster. Excuse me. We talked the other night, we talked about ECP when a disaster here, and oftentimes here in Georgia, we have hurricanes, tornadoes, even sometimes floods, flash floods that we may have, high winds that we may have, but any natural disaster that we have, the Tree Assistance Program is for those producers who have orchards and vineyards. And I say even here in Georgia, a lot of times we have pecan orchards, peach orchards, as well as other orchards. But I just want to say that oftentimes with these natural disasters, sort of want to tie in ECP. ECP is to help with the cleanup, and ECP assists with orchards as well. Okay, so if you have these orchards and nurseries, ECP is to assist with cleanup. Now with TAP, it's to help with the rehabilitation of the orchards or vineyards. And basically, let me just say, to help you and oftentimes to replant. So that's the difference with ECP and with TAP. So if your trees were destroyed, TAP would assist in getting that tree or bush, a vineyard replanted. So there are a number of programs, a number of disaster programs that we have. And I'm gonna go on and mention also too, we have the Emergency Forest Restoration Program, the EFRP. We didn't even talk about that, but those are for people who have forest land, that have trees that may have pine trees or something like that. That's for forest trees. And so there are a number of programs out there that we have, but with TAP, TAP is dealing with orchard trees, and I'm just going to say it, the rehabilitation of those orchard trees. And oftentimes we're looking at the replanting of those trees. And I want to read another sentence off right here. It says, to be considered an eligible loss, the death loss must first be sustained. A stand of eligible trees, bushes, vines must have suffered more than a 15% of mortality loss due to the natural disaster. So again, you are here about death when it comes to your orchard trees, and even with the livestock, that's over and beyond the normal mortality rate. And here it's 15% for the loss on your orchard trees. And so just want to go ahead and mention that for the tree assistance program. And again, for the most part, with this particular program, you do not have to wait for a disaster declaration from the Secretary of Agriculture or from the President. You know, now with ECP, you do. You have to have a declaration for your county, but not for TAP, you don't. So if, just like ELAP, we talked about, you don't have to wait for a declaration. So if you experience some high winds, if, you know, and oftentimes when these natural disasters come through, sometimes you'll hear tornado touchdown in a particular county. May not hit the whole county, but just in certain areas of the state, a tornado may touch down or high winds may hit an area. So you as the farmer, as the landowner that has an orchard that was hit by the natural disaster, I'll say the tornado oftentimes, but there are other natural disasters that can hit. Once you come in and apply, we will have to send out a loss adjuster to go out and verify the loss. So it is key in recording what natural disaster it was. You need to come in, notify the county office so we can get a loss adjuster out there to assess the damages that you experience. You very well may end up applying for more than one program. You may end up needing ECP, but unfortunately now with ECP, you got to wait till a declaration for your county for the cleanup. But for TAP, you don't have to wait for that. We can go ahead and assist in the replanting of your orchard. So Joy, I'm going to stop right there. And
Neil,
then,
Neil, I have a few questions.
okay.
How do I know if I qualify? And then is this a grant that I'm receiving or is this a
No,
loan?
well, it's not a grant. Uh,
Okay.
I would say it's a cost share program, like some of the others. A certain percentage of the cost of the farmer would be reimbursed for their loss. And what was the other question, Joy?
How do I know if I qualify for this program?
Oh, well, and again, the way you would need to know, and simply being said, you know, if a natural disaster hits, let me just simply say it this way. If a natural disaster hits, high winds, tornado touchdown, you had some damage, come into the county office and apply and say, hey, look, I may need some TAP assistance. Look like I had some deaths to my vineyard, to my peach tree, to my pecans, to my nursery. And then we will send a loss adjuster, a FSA loss adjusters, and we have those adjusters that work other programs, especially like our NAP program, our non-insured assisted program. Most of the time they're doing work with NAP, but we'll have them to go out and assess the damage and see if you have a loss at the level that is required for TAP. And again, I mentioned about it being more than at least 15% of the normal mortality rate for whatever orchard that you have. So again, it's key for the producer to know, hey, look, I think a natural disaster has hit, and I'm going to come into the office and see about the TAP program to see about rehabilitating my orchard, replanting my orchard. Then again, you may need some cleanup, but that's ECP. That's to get debris and all of that out of your fields. But if you look like some of your trees was killed, then we can assist in the replanting of them.
Thank you, Neil.
Mm-hmm.
There are no other questions.
Okay. We're gonna go to the marketing assistant loan. So we're gonna talk about a marketing assistant loans, and I'm gonna go on and put out before we get started. I'm not a specialist in this particular program. I will say that the marketing assistance loans has been around since I've been working with Farm Service Agency, and I've been working with the agency over 30 years now. So this particular program, like I mentioned, like ECP, it has been around for a number of years. It's been in a number of the different farm bills that we have. Now, I mentioned earlier about TAP. TAP been around, but TAP haven't been around this long. Not as long as the marketing and assistance loans has been around. It is part of our loan program, but it's not up on the farm loan. It's on the farm programs, the marketing assistant loans. And I'm going to read off this particular PowerPoint here. It says marketing assistant loan. Marketing assistant loans provide interim financing at harvest time to help agricultural producers meet cash flow needs without having to sell their commodities when market prices are typically at harvest time lows. This assists producers to delay selling the commodity until more favorable market conditions emerge. MAL loans are commonly referred to as commodity loans. And for the most part, with marketing assistance loans, again, unfortunately, with agriculture in the industry, oftentimes the market price for a lot of agricultural commodities when the farmers harvest them, oftentimes market prices are very low during the time of harvest. And so the marketing and assistance loans are really there to assist the farmers and say, hey, I really don't want to sell my crop at this time at this low price. Oftentimes, you know, during the off season is when market prices are a lot better. And that's what marketing assistance loans help. And I'm going to go on and say this. I won't call his name, but I will give an example. One of my producers that I worked with when I was in the county office, he did a lot of he built a lot of grain bins, and with those grain bins, he did farm store. He did on farm marketing loans. Well, actually, he got the marketing loans, but the crops were stored on the farm. And one of the things that he shared with a class when I was the liaison officer at Fort Valley State at the time, and we took a class out there to talk to him and learn some things. And he said to the class, he said, hey, look, you got to know how to sell your crop better than you know how to grow it. And so, and the point is that I'm trying to make here is that this is what the marketing assistance loans try to assist those farmers out there to say, hey, look, right now, I don't want to sell my crop because the market prices are low. They can go on and put their crop on loan until market prices get a little bit better. And I'm going to go ahead and mention with our MAL, you may hear me say that, you may hear me say commodity loans. They are considered non-recourse marketing loans. And that's where by the 9th month, they can either come in and repay the loan. And oftentimes when they do that is when market prices have gotten a lot better. They come in and say, hey, look, I'm going to pay the loan off and now I'm going to go sell my crop. They can do that, or they can forfeit the commodity to FSA. We try not to do that, but that's what non-recourse means. So there's a few, that's when we get into talk about loan deficiency payments, that you can get that without even having to get a marketing loan. You can get a loan deficiency payment. To be eligible for an MAL, a producer must comply with conservation and wetland protection requirements, submit an acreage report for all cropland on all farms as applicable, have and retain beneficial interest in the commodity until the MAL is repaid or CCC takes title to the commodity. I do want to emphasize that if you put your crop on loan with us, you must retain beneficial interest. You must retain control of that crop while it's on loan with FSA. Must not have delinquent non-tax debt to the federal government. So if you're in that situation, I would suggest that you reach out to your local county office and see exactly how that could affect your eligibility for MAL loan. Eligible crops, eligible commodities include wheat, corn, grain, sorghum, barley, oats, upland cotton, soybeans, other oil seeds, graded and non-graded wool, mohair, honey, and peanuts. Oftentimes, there are certain crops here in Georgia that we put on loan. And I'm gonna go ahead and mention this. And I just go on and suggest that you go to your local county office or talk to your specialist about this to get further understanding. But with peanuts and cotton, for the most part, all our peanuts that are grown go into marketing loan. We have a DMA, the Direct Marketing Association, and for the most part, they handle all the loans for peanut producers and for cotton producers. I just know in time past when I was in the county office, I did wheat loans or corn loans, even maybe some oats or barley, but I know we did wheat and corn. This particular program, again, has been around for a number of years. Our row crop producers very well is just as familiar with this program as the county office is with this particular program. And then again, we may have some new row crop producers out there, but marketing assistance loan has been around. These are the crops. Peanuts and cotton pretty much go in every year. The where those crops are marketed, for the most part, they are put in loan, but they are always repaid back for the most part. And then there's other crops as well that we put on loan. But again, just let me mention, for the most part, this particular program is designed if the current market prices drop to a certain level, you can come in and get a loan and say, hey, look, hopefully market prices get a lot better. I'm going to get this loan. I come back when market prices are better. Then I come back, repay the loan off, get my crop, and go sell it. So just trying to make it as simple as possible. Beneficial interest: a producer retains beneficial interest in the commodity if the producer retains both control of the commodity. The producer retains the ability to make all decisions affecting the commodity, including movement, sale, and the request for a MAL or a LDP. Title to the commodity. Producer has not sold or delivered the commodity or warehouse receipt to the buyer. I do want to just emphasize this again. You know, if you do come in and get a loan, you need to make sure that you haven't gone out there and sold that crop and you still got beneficial interest in that crop. Tonight, you know, in talking about the program, I don't want to really dive into that, but you really can put yourself in a bad place if you lose control of that commodity while it's on loan. We don't want that to happen. Marketing assistance long-term loans are for 9 months. I had our specialist to update our rates. That look like that's the rate right now. Current interest rate is 1.875%. Look like that's what was updated there. This is important. Availability dates. We see January the 31st has already passed, but this March 31st here in Georgia, we're looking at wheat, really and truly. So here in the next day or so, if you're looking at getting a loan for your wheat, which would be last year wheat now, you got until March the 31st, and then May the 31st for cotton, soybeans, some of those other crops that, that we do have, let's corn, cotton. I know those crops we do have here in Georgia that oftentimes go on loan, but you got until May the 31st to get on loan, then that's last year's crop now. That's the national loan rate. I do want to go ahead and read a piece right here about loan deficiency payments. We're talking about marketing assistance loans. I do want to go ahead and mention what a loan deficiency payment is. It's alternatively, LDP provisions specify that in lieu of securing a MAL, producers may elect to receive a LDP. And LDP is the difference the producer will have received if a loan was repaid at the lower market price, a direct benefit that does not need to be repaid. MAL repayment and LDP provisions are intended to minimize potential delivery, storage, and related costs to agricultural commodities to CCC. And basically what I want to say, if the market price for a particular crop drops to a certain level, even as we look at the national loan rate, if it drops before a low level, and say if you do have a loan, then you can actually repay the loan at a lower repayment rate, and that will help the producer out, or to forego getting a market assistance loan, you can get a loan deficiency payment. So you can get a loan deficiency payment, and that can help the producer, and you don't even have to put your crop on loan to get that benefit. And basically, let me say, and I learned this some years ago, and basically what this program try to do is help provide a floor to say, hey, look, if market prices are very low, you can come in and get a loan, and then you can pay that loan back when market prices get better, to help provide a floor for the farmers to say, hey, look, I need to be able to make a profit off of my crops. So the loans does that. And then the loan deficiency payment also does that to say, hey, look, when the market prices drop to a certain level, then for that particular crop, they can possibly get a loan deficiency payment and get the benefit from the loan deficiency payment, even without putting it on loan. So that's simply being stated. What the programs are designed to do is that if the price drops to a certain level, they can actually repay the loan back at that lower price, or they can get a loan deficiency payment. So trying to make it make it as simple as possible. Okay. Collateral, the FSA office will complete a lien search on the commodity requested. Any lien holder on the commodity will need a lien waiver on the requested commodity. Commodity Credit Corporation will place a lien on the commodity as collateral for the loan. So for the most part, if you put this on loan, we will have to do a lien search, and then we would have to be first place on the lien on the crop. So quite naturally, bottom line, what we're saying, hey, look, if you are the one in control of the commodity, of the crop, if you want to put it on loan, then we're gonna have to put a lien on the crop wherever it's stored, just in case, you forego the loan. Like I said, it's a non-recourse loan, but we're gonna make sure that we have a lien on the crop. Okay, how to apply? Contact, excuse me, your local farm service agency. Express interest in the program, commodity information needed, location of commodity, quantity of commodity, indicate any lien holders. Information provided will assist in completing the CCC 666 commodity loan request. That's the last slide for this PowerPoint on marketing and assistance loans. Again, I just want to recap. Joy already mentioned it at the beginning of tonight's session about the programs that we have been covering for this entire month. Want you all to be mindful with these FSA programs. We talked about farm loan programs. There are a number of programs under that. We talked about, I would like to say, safety net programs, the ARC PLC program that we have, the NAP program. Those are safety net programs. Again, I sort of mentioned even tonight with the marketing assistance law, providing a floor for the producers that say, hey, look, bottom line, our farmers have got to be able to get some type of profit from the crops that they grow. And when it's time for them to sell their crops, when it's time to sell their livestock, that they can get a decent price back on what it is that they're growing. So a number of our programs try to provide a floor, or I will say the safety net programs. FSA have a number of conservation programs out there that we work with NRCS on. And then we do have a number of disaster programs that we also have. And let me go on and say, for the most part, these programs that we have talked about are up under the 2018 Farm Bill. But now one of the things that I've seen change over the years is that oftentimes, well, with the Farm Bill, you're gonna get an appropriation. So much money is gonna be funded for these particular programs. And you're gonna know those programs is going to exist during that Farm Bill. But here in recent years, with the COVID-19 pandemic, with the disasters that has hit the United States, there have been other appropriations that has been approved. And with those other appropriations, funding has been made available. And then when the funding is made available, then you see new programs. But the difference is you definitely have to follow the sign-up dates for those programs that might be approved under other appropriations. So once those deadlines, sign-up deadline is over, then that's it for that particular program. We know the programs that we have gone over for the month of March, they're gonna exist as long as they up under the Farm Bill. So I do appreciate Joy wanting to bring these programs to our participants, to our farmers, so they can be aware. Let me just mention again about some of these disaster programs that we have. Some of them may be implemented after a secretarial, that meaning agriculture secretary or president declaration. Sometimes on some of these programs, the farmer themselves need to be aware, because the program can be implemented without a declaration. So farmers got to be aware, they got to be attentive. So we're just thankful for the opportunity to share with these programs that we have. Thank you, Joy.
Thank you so much, Neil. I just want to kind of recap what we've done this month. And this has been a very exciting opportunity for me. And I hope for all of you who are participating tonight, you have the same excitement. From what we've learned this month, it seems that the Farm Service Agency has a program for any type of disaster that you as a farmer or rancher may experience. And honestly, this is my first time ever learning about these programs. So I hope that you guys will now be deputized to take the information that you've learned over these past couple of weeks and share this information with your colleagues. I mean, this is amazing. I had no clue, and Georgia has a lot of natural disasters, that these programs could be beneficial. I also see the opportunity for you guys to get familiar with your local Farm Service Agency office and the staff that is within that office and build a relationship with them. So when these opportunities become available, maybe they can send you a courtesy email and say, hey, Neil, such and so is coming up. You have until March 31st to apply. One of the key things that we wanted to do by doing this webinar series all month is to expose you to programs that you may not be aware of and encourage you. Unfortunately, disasters are going to happen, that you guys will now have a resource, a guaranteed resource that you can go to get some type of relief from the disaster that has occurred on your property. So I am very thankful for Neil for giving me his last 5 Fridays to spend an hour to about an hour and a half with us in educating us on some of these great programs. And I will say, we only touched on 11. I don't even want to guess how many additional programs they have. I also want to plug the other family members in the USDA umbrella that you should be familiar with: USDA Rural Development and USDA NRCS, which is the Natural Resource Conservation Service. All of those agencies up underneath the USDA umbrella have programs and services that can benefit you. And some of them are at no cost. I am seeing questions in the chat. So there was a question asked, Neil, and I'm going to handle it. Please remind me, are these presentations available to review? Absolutely, Ms. Malone, they are available. And what I will do is I will send you the YouTube link to where you can access these presentations, or you can even send other people the link. So if you don't feel comfortable explaining it, you can just share the link with them. And then there's a question over here. Ms. Booker wants to know, Neil, did you ever cover forest assistance to have trees removed?
No, that's under the, we got so many programs. That is the Emergency Forest Restoration Program that I mentioned earlier. Okay. As Joy mentioned, we got a bunch of programs. And for forest trees, when natural disaster hit and you're needing some cleanup or rehabilitation of forest trees, that's up under the, I even have to read them, the Emergency Forest Restoration Program, which we didn't cover. You know, we could do 2 months to cover all of the programs, but we do have a program for, you know, again, tonight we talked about TAP, those people who have orchards, you know, and vineyards and nurseries. But now for those who have pine trees, you know, other planted trees, forest trees, that particular program exists. So, and Joy, I want to stop and say this as we talk about these particular programs. Another hat that I wear is the beginning farmer and rancher coordinator for the state of Georgia. And I talk to many of people who want to start farming. And I don't know if any of the people here tonight in the audience are wanting to look at starting a farm. One of the things that I want to go on and share, these programs that we are talking about for this month are for those people who have operations. Once you start farming commercially, okay, not a garden, not something for the community, you know, but when you have a commercial operation, then there are a number of programs that FSA and the other USDA agencies have. A lot of times there are other steps that producers wannabe producers, forgive me for saying that, for beginning farmers, other steps they have to take. And I oftentimes share, Joy, they very well may need extension help in finding out what to grow, how to grow it, how much, what I'm gonna get back for what I'm growing, simply say it, So sometimes our beginning farmers may not be there just yet, but once you start an operation, then these are the programs that's available. Okay. But and oftentimes with beginning farmers, I don't even talk about these programs that we've discussed this month, Joy. I don't even talk about those unless you have an operation. But once you have an operation, then these are the programs you need to be aware of. So I just want to, don't want to sound mean, but that's just the way it is. If you got an operation, then these are the programs you need to be aware of that we have.
Thank you, Neil. And Ms. Booker says thank you.
Okay.
At this time, I do not see any additional questions in the Q&A or in the chat box. So with that being said, I am going to say we are going to conclude our final webinar for the month of March. I want to thank Mr. Leonard once again for giving us the last 5 Thursdays in a row to make sure Tuesday. Thank you. To make sure that Georgia's socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers had the opportunity to learn about new programs, well, not new to FSA, but new to us, to see if these are opportunities that you guys will be looking forward to taking advantage of when disaster strikes. So with that being said, thank you again, Neil. Thank you to all of my program participants. The survey link is in the chat box, and I've noticed from the last 2 sessions, folks are not filling out the survey. So if we do not get anybody to fill out the survey tonight, I know who's on the call, and I will send you a personal email with the survey link in there, because we need to know what we did right and what we did wrong, if anything. You guys are our customers. We are here to serve. So we want you guys to be comfortable with this process. So with that, I say thank you and good night. Enjoy the rest of your night. Bye-bye.